40 years since Back in Black has been released. That's right, we're going to talk about the greatest Australian band of all time. You think you can get any better than the magnificence of blues rock, helter-skelter, kicking out the jams, satanic worship than ACDC? It's not possible. Who else is there? Cold Chisel? No. Guy Sebastian? Off. They scared mums the world over, including mine, which is kind of ironic because she did see them in a Melbourne pub in 1975 and said it was one of the best shows she's ever seen. Moving on. Did you guys know that the US military uses ACDC's music as a form of torture? Not only that, they also use it to cure cancer. Even cancer's scared of ACDC, and it should be. This was a band that was literally on top of the world at late 1979, and then their lead singer, one of the most prolific songwriters we've ever known, someone that brought us Highway to Hell, TNT, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, dies tragically because he fell asleep in his car from a little bit too much booze and also like a deathly cold winter. Now, if you're Brian Johnson, the guy to replace Bon Scott, you've got a heavy kind of load on your shoulders. Half the record was already written, you've got to contribute melodies, you've got to contribute lyrics, and of course that pressure is like pretty insane. Is it going to live up to Bon's memory? Is it really going to be something that you're going to be proud of? And imagine if the record flopped. You wouldn't be able to forgive yourself. So I've decided to actually do some solid research this time, and by that I mean I just Googled it on my phone. Top 10 best-selling records of all time. The Eagles, the greatest hits. That's kind of cheating, isn't it? Come on, Eagles. You had better records than greatest hits. Michael Jackson, Thriller. The Eagles again, Hotel California. Think you're cheating. Billy Joel with another greatest hits. Not sure why these are included. Led Zeppelin 4. I'm so glad that they're in there because they're my favorite band of all time. Pink Floyd's The Wall, which is kind of the worst Pink Floyd record in my opinion. ACDC, Back in Black. Garth Brooks, Double Live? Garth Brooks? How many country fans are there? Didn't think there were that many, but you get the point. They were number 7. Number 7's in the top 10, that's enough. So an interesting thing about this record is Bon Scott actually played drums on some of the demos. We all know the song You Shook Me All Night Long. It's a classic for a reason. You're always going to hear it when you go out to a nightclub in central Queensland. I should know, I grew up there. Not only that, ACDC couldn't get enough of it either. They released it twice, on Back in Black, and then on another record a few years later. I don't know which one that is. Again, Shane, you know how it is. And this is how dangerous of a band ACDC were. Phil Rudd, the drummer, got done for, and later the charges were dropped, so, you know, he wasn't actually convicted. But he got done for procuring a murder and drugs. Why is it procuring a murder and drugs? Was it like he was trying to get both of them off the one person? Or what sort of murderer for hire also happens to have a side hustle that happens to be drugs? This band is so beloved by Australians that we created a lane just for them, ACDC Lane in Melbourne. We have a nickname for them, like, you know, we'll say, oh, going to McDonald's? No, we're going to Macca's. You listen to ACDC? No, we're going to listen to Akadaka. We have that affinity for this band because they mean so much to us. And speaking about excess and addiction, this is one of the funniest addictions that I've ever heard of. Angus Young apparently had an addiction to milk. Milk of all the things? You've got booze, you've got drugs, you've got sex, you've got like cars and money and excess. But no, Angus chose milk. And then here's a tidbit. Apparently, when chocolate milk came out, whoa, next level! This band is so committed to putting on a great show for their audience that they won't ever forget that Angus Young still plays in a school uniform, just like he did in the 1970s. Now, where else can you find a 70-year-old man in a school uniform? And no, I'm not talking about those dodgy strip clubs you go to. So to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Back in Black, ACDC are recording a new record and they're releasing it with Malcolm Young's guitars on. Now, if you haven't been playing catch up, Malcolm Young died tragically in 2017, so we lost a rock and roll guitar hero. But by the miracle of technology, he's gonna be on this new record. Remember like how we saw Tupac perform at Coachella as a hologram? It's like that, but like in the stereo. Here's another point to how well respected ACDC is. Recently, Brian Johnson had to tap out from tour because he had some hearing problems that was like quite detrimental to his health. Who did they get to replace him? Only the most tardy and assholic person in music that you could ever get. That's right, Axl Rose. I know that you knew that before I said it. Axl Rose is notorious for not showing up to his own concerts. He will show up an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours late. However, when he joined ACDC for their recent tour a couple of years ago, he was on time. The man that doesn't give a shit about anything respects ACDC so much that he was actually on time. That's a massive deal. Now, I've played drums for most of my entire life. 20-something years now. Not actually going to disclose how long because that's going to show you how old I am. But ACDC is a perfect band to learn how to play drums to because it's literally just 4 on the floor and it's and that's most of their songs. So you can feel really accomplished as a young and upcoming drummer by playing ACDC songs. You can learn all of your favorites because it's exactly the same drum beat over and over. It's just a difference in tempo. Now, not only does your local cover band love to cover ACDC at the pub, but famous people love to cover it as well. Most notably, the worst cover in the history of the universe was by Celine Dion and her colleague, I guess, Anastasia. I guess that one should have been left outside alone. I don't reckon the rock and roll landscape would be anything like it is now without them. They were mavericks. Bon refused to wear a shirt on stage, so that goes well for those of you who don't have beach bodies, because neither did he. And they just really formed their own version of blues rock that kind of went into metal and other kind of hard rock avenues, and it influenced literally everyone. Can you think of a guitarist that you like Slash, or maybe Brent Hinds from Mastodon, or maybe James Hetfield from Metallica? You ask them what their favorite guitarists or their favorite bands are, ACDC is going to be in the top 10 all the time. That shows you how influential and significant that band was, and is still today. So having said all of this, let's take a moment to celebrate the greatest band that Australia has ever produced, ACDC. And if you haven't heard them, then frankly, you're a musical idiot and you need to listen to them right now. Go through all of their back catalog. You know, you've got Spotify, you've got YouTube, you've got Apple Music, or whatever it is that you listen to music on. And when you find those songs and those records that you like, don't just sucker out and not pay for it. Go and buy a record. In fact, go and buy something on vinyl, because that's the only way that bands make money anymore. Go and do it. Tell me about it in the comments. Tell me about your favorite ACDC song. They're magnificent, and there will never be another band like them ever again.